hogtied, okay, and they're bringing him into the jail. While they're bringing him into the jail, they are continuously beating him, kicking him, and cattle prodding him with a taser, okay? While they're bringing him through the halls and they're getting his cell ready, still no charge, no crime has been done, okay? Continuously beating him until finally when they get the cell ready, they throw him in the cell and they notice that he's not moving, he's not breathing, okay? And they're looking around. You can literally see in the video footage the moment that they figure out that he's gone, that he's dead, because everybody just kind of hangs their head. It's like, oh man, did we just kill him? We just killed him. I mean, and it is blatantly obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I would, viewer discretion is advised.
That's right.
You know, because it is very heart-wrenching to see a murder right before your eyes. Then 11 years goes by. The family tries to file a civil suit to no avail, and then we finally get this video, you know, surface. And now that it's been 11 years and a civil suit has tried and failed, now we are in a position where we have to use more than just Robert Ricks.
Exactly.
Okay, even though the statute of limitations, or in Louisiana it's called prescription. Okay, murder does not prescribe.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, however, there's been a civil suit that has been dismissed. Okay, because in my opinion it was improperly handled.
Yes.
You know, but not to, you know, point any fingers or, you know, or anything like that. The civil suit is we can't do that because now it's been dismissed with prejudice.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so now we have to take a different route in bringing to light all the other situations of malfeasance, all the other situations of unlawful deaths, unlawful rapes, unlawful drug overdoses that have gone under the eyes, you know, of the police, in police custody. Okay, I mean, there are many, many, many others. Over the course of the past 11 years, there are many, many other situations that have happened that are very similar to Robert Ricks. You have inmates that are in DCs 1, 2, and 3 that are not getting medical attention. Okay, they are not getting their medication. They are not being supervised. Sometimes they are put into the cell with other inmates, still handcuffed, and left as bait, basically, for these other inmates, you know, to beat up. You have, you know, certain officers that are leaving inmates still handcuffed intentionally and beating them in front of the other inmates. You know, just recently, not too long ago, there was a young man named Andrew Miles that died at the hands of another inmate. He was handcuffed while being placed in his cell, okay, in the cell of this known killer and rapist. And, you know, you kind of wonder, you know, why? Why? You know, this young man was in jail for allegedly stealing a gas can. And he was supposed to have bonded out that day, okay? And they just put him out there like meat to throw at dogs, and now a mother doesn't have a son. And he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that at all, and it wasn't necessary. You know, and so, and that's a public situation, so I can't speak about that. You know, but, you know, it's, you know, case after case after case, and my phone rings constantly, you know, people from the Alexandria area, the Mansur area, the Bunkie area, and that whole general region, Jonesville and Pineville, you know, just telling us about, you know, different situations where their family members were just done so wrong, unjustifiably. Mind you, my office is noting all of those different circumstances that you all bring to us, and, you know, with your permission, you know, we can use this, you know, against the police and you know, in our mission to bring all of these situations to justice.
Exactly.
Because this is not just about Robert Ricks. This is about all of us. This is about every single American that has died, been raped, overdosed, at the hands of the police or in police custody.
Exactly.
The very people that are tasked and say an oath to protect us are the very ones that are either killing us themselves or putting us in a situation for us to be killed unjustifiably with our hands cuffed behind our backs. And this is what Justice for Robert Ricks has turned into. An American plea for help against our law enforcement. And that's why I'm here today. And yes, there have been a lot of attorneys that probably would not be in my position because, well, number one, it doesn't make any money.
Exactly.
And I'm not asking for any. You know, this is a personal mission of mine. Because at the time when it happened, I couldn't do anything.
Exactly.
I didn't have an office. I didn't have any money. But now I do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have God guiding my steps. You know, so this is really God's work. And that's the way I look at
And
it.
it's so true and so profound in what you're saying, because this is like being an activist. Like I said before, we've worked on several different cases, and a familiar case that happened at DC, matter of fact, in the same area, where a young man was in there for a reason, and his cellmate died, and he had kept trying to get the deputy to come to the door to open it because it was something wrong with his cellmate. Well, the young man died in the cell, and when he was banging on the door, the deputy told him, "Lay down, you just want attention." And the guy had died in the cell with him. So he laid in there with a dead man
Oh my goodness.
before they would even come to the door. So like you said, there's countless stories of horror stories, the abuse from deputies beating on inmates. I've had those stories come to me several times. So when we say protect and serve, at what cost?
Right. And who exactly
And
are
who
we
are we protecting and who are we serving? Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So it's so much, and the idea that the corruption that you know swims through the area that he's supposed to be upstanding, integrity, these you know, you're supposed to be so proud of the people that's supposed to protect and serve you.
Right.
When you find that there's so much underhanded things going on, the politics of it all is the dangerous part of it. Actually, is the politics
It is.
that is involved in these law enforcement agencies and the power they have. People don't realize the power they have. The ideal that our cops, the law enforcement is one of the largest memberships unions in the United States. They have the longest money, and they have more members. They have more members than most unions or organized organizations have, agencies have.
That's correct.
And with that much power, you don't know who he has in his pockets. I mean, think about it. Politically, they probably have a lot of people because they've saved a lot of people out of some stuff.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, when we're talking about law enforcement, you have to understand politically they are backed up,
Yes.
you know, by political actors like the sheriff,
Yeah.
the district attorney,
Yes.
the judges.
Yes.
You know, so it's a very deeply rooted issue. That we are finding every single day. We are uncovering more and more of these layers of corruption around some of our smaller Louisiana parishes. And, you know, some of this corruption dates back all the way past the, you know, before the civil rights movement.
Exactly.
You know, and these are the things that we are now uncovering, and they're bubbling up to the surface.
Exactly.
And so, you know, it's very interesting, you know, the kind of pushback, you know, that we're getting, and just the lengths that they will go in order to
Exactly.
keep these things covered.
Exactly. And you look at the history of lawyers, where did it come from? Let's think about where it came from. And the mindset has not changed. Because one thing I always say this is that they said when the slaves were freed, they masters encouraged their children to go into law enforcement, become judges, and become lawyers. So those are the ways that they can continue keeping us in a system that is not just for us. And they've done a very good job of it.
Starting with the Ku Klux Klan.
That's right, starting with the Ku Klux Klan. So they've done a great job in staying in the system and keeping the system flowing, where we're in and out, Excuse me. So when you think about that, we're up against a monster, in a sense. And the idea that a lot of law enforcement are not even being convicted of blatant murder, you know. They're actually being, they're not getting convicted because the law is on their side.
Right.
You have DAs, district attorneys. District attorneys, if you guys would understand the power a district attorney has, it would blow your mind, okay? They can say whether or not you're gonna go to trial. They can say whether or not they're gonna charge you with something. They have like a endless amount of power as a district attorney. And lots of times they're not in our favor, okay? They're not for us. They're doing what the court system wants them to do, and we're bodies to them, and whatever the law enforcement says, they've already had their conversations. They already know what they're gonna do, their next move is. And we have to deal with that because they have the power to do that, especially here, you know?
Let me put it in perspective for you.
Mhm.
In Louisiana, you have your public prisons, okay? But a lot of parish prisons are for profit,
Yes.
okay? So that means if it is a public prison,
Mhm.
okay, then they're getting, maybe $300 per inmate per day.
Exactly.
Okay, if it is a for-profit prison, then they're getting around $3,000
Mhm.
per inmate per day.
Exactly.
Okay, so when you're looking at the realm of, okay, when you get arrested,
Mhm.
okay, and you go to jail, and let's say you don't bond out because you can't afford to bond out,
That's right.
right? At that point, you are what's considered pre-trial. You're a pre-trial inmate,
Mhm.
okay? So some prisons, okay, that are public,
Mhm.
okay, they will only get a certain amount of money for you, each day that you're there,
Mhm.
okay? If you get arrested and you're a pretrial inmate in a parish where they have a private prison,
Mhm.
okay, and you don't bond out after 5 days or so, okay, or after so many days,
Mhm.
then they're going to send you to a prison that's going to make more money from you.
Wow.
Okay, like case in point, if you're in St. John the Baptist Parish, okay, which is a private, or it's a public prison,
Mhm.
okay, but they only house DOC inmates, that is post-trial inmates,
Okay.
okay, they're going to get about $3,000 per inmate per day. Okay, if you are a pretrial inmate
Mhm.
and you have not bonded out
Mhm.
within a week of being there, let's
Mhm.
just say, then they're going to take you from Laplace
Mhm.
to somewhere like Catahoula, okay, which is from Laplace about 3.5, almost 4 hours,
Mm.
okay, away. That means you're away from your family.
Mhm.
That means you're away from any kind of support,
Mhm.
okay? So, so if you can't bond out, then you can't really have any visitors either.
That's right.
And you're completely isolated from your family, from everything that you know, okay? Or they'll send you to somewhere like LaSalle
Mhm.
or Jackson, which is way up north, way up in Union Parish, okay, up near Arkansas. Okay, so if your family is from New Orleans
Mhm.
and you're way up there by Arkansas, then it's a wrap.
Mhm.
It's a wrap. You're a slave to the system if you can't bond out.
Exactly.
Okay, because they're sending you to a prison where they can make more money off of you. So it's a legislative problem, it's an inherent problem, it's a historical problem. And if we look back in history, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Stokely Carmichael, the same issues and the same things that they were crying about then, we are still crying about now.
That's right, that's right.
Okay? And that is the epitome of justice for Robert Riggs.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
You guys want to introduce, this is Miss Destiny Jones. She is the sister of Robert Riggs and the cousin of Attorney Morgan. Just go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to want to look into your brother's case.
I'm Robert's baby sister, and after the video was released, which we had been asking for that video at the time the incident happened, they lied and said that it wasn't no video footage. We never seen video footage or anything, but everything we imagined that possibly happened that night on February 5th, 2011 is what took place in that video. And we just want to bring closure to the family, because it was a medical call. It was no need in him to be arrested illegally.
Exactly.
You know, he had a seizure. My grandmother called for medical attention, and that's what it should have been. You know, they should have left. After he refused medical attention, they should have just left my grandmother's residence.
Exactly.
And we all ultimately believe that that's what took my grandmother out. Not even a good 3 months after Robert passed. So we just want to bring closure, not just to us, but to him as well, because, you know, he deserves the justice.
Exactly.
He didn't deserve for his life to be taken.
Exactly. So in the case, you said that it was a medical call. So what prompted the ambulance to call the police? What made that interaction take place?
Well, from what we have been told, the fire department were the first ones on the scene.
Okay.
According to them, from an incident, well, it was another medical call back in 2010.
Okay.
Robert was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and bipolar. So of course, it's all about the approach you take. I've worked in the mental health field. I worked at Central State Hospital. You know, I've worked with these type of people. And it's all about the approach. If you come off to them aggressive, they're gonna come back to you aggressive.
Exactly.
And the officers, the paramedics, all of them are supposed to be trained and know how to handle, you know, such a person when they deal with a mental illness. So they knew that Robert had a mental illness. Obviously, these same people with the fire department, obviously they had been out on the call back in 2010. So they took upon themselves, once Acadian ambulance got there, to tell them to dispatch the Alexandria Police Department. All because he got up out the chair and walked to the back of the house. What harm, what did he present to y'all that he was doing harm to himself or any of y'all or my grandmother, that he got up and walked to the back of the house to his bedroom, which was located at the back of the house. And from there, Acadian ambulance took the advice from the Alexandria Fire Department. And they dispatched APD after him refusing medical attention, which he was 23 years old. He had every right to refuse medical attention. Once they called in Alexandria Police Department, Acadian ambulance left. They actually got a call for someone on the back street behind my grandmother's house. So once they left, why didn't the police officers leave? No, they took upon themselves to do what they wanted to do. And they're supposed to have this crisis intervention team where those particular individuals are trained how to deal with someone with a mental illness. And if they saying that he was exhibiting certain behaviors, that's number one call to take him to the emergency room.
Exactly.
In which it did not happen. They lied and told my grandmother they were taking him to the emergency room, and they took him to the jail and did what they wanted to do. He didn't go to the emergency room until after he was deceased, because they transported a deceased man from the jailhouse. Is what they did. He was dead.
Now, as far as protocol, let's back up just a little bit, okay? Just the mere deploy of the taser, okay? Police are trained how to, or they're supposed to be trained on how to de-escalate a situation in order to avoid using excessive force or any kind of additional force, okay? The first is, you know, the verbal warning or the verbal demand, okay? After the verbal demand, okay, then it becomes, you know, a personal, you know, demand where they will, you know, hey, you know, they will warn you, then they'll get in your way, okay? But this is only in a situation where there's a threat, okay? Of a threat of bodily harm or injury to either themselves or to others, okay? Not de-escalating a naked man who is unarmed, okay, who has nothing. You're naked. But if you're naked, how are you any kind of threat? And not only are you naked, but you're naked in your own house.
Yeah, exactly.
And the only reason he was naked is because he had tried to go in there and take a bath. And my grandmother told him to get from out that tub because he was shaking so bad. She didn't want him to shake and drown.
Right.
And he said, yes ma'am. He got out of the tub, dried himself out. So, I mean, come on now, it's an older house. She didn't have central AC and heat. They had window units. So he's trying to cool himself out. But the way that they try to present it, like, oh, he was naked, he was changing clothes. How was that even possible?
How did the tasers
come
into play in the first place? Because that's supposed to be one of the last resorts.
Exactly.
You know, so obviously they didn't follow protocol when it comes to the taser.
Exactly.
Okay, because if so, then the tasers would have never been deployed.
Exactly.
And for one, they went against their own company policy because their policy states the taser is not to be administered to the elderly and disabled, pregnant women, or people with mental illness.
Wow.
So y'all violated y'all own company policy.
Yes.
Wow.
That's correct.
And they administered it several times, then they even reported.
Now, I'll put it in perspective for you, okay? 24 hours after Robert passed, okay, his temperature of his dead body was still at 104 degrees Fahrenheit.
His autopsy wasn't performed till 33 hours, so it was well over 24
Oh, so well over
hours.
24 hours.
33 hours after his passing, after their recorded time, because remind you, he was already deceased.
That's right.
His body temperature was high. Now, when you pass over, your body temperature cools
starts to
down.
cool down.
Your
heart
heart
stops.
stops. The more sits in and everything.
Right.
That was like they electrocuted him. So we know he suffered.
Yeah.
He suffered, and I just, I couldn't imagine what was going through his head, because he was already coming out the house saying, "Girl, they gonna kill me," and this is what happened.
Exactly what happened. It's like he predicted his death. Oh my God, his demise. That is sad.
And this is very sad, that, and this is done by the very people that were supposed to protect him.
They were supposed to be able to de-escalate the situation.
Correct.
Ask him, did he want to go again?
Right.
And then if he decided not to go,
They were supposed to leave.
They were supposed to leave along with the fire department and ambulance.
And he would have been alive to this day.
And there's still no arrest records of first that y'all said y'all arrested him. It was one of the officers' decision, as a group decision. They went out what he decided to arrest him on what? What did he do? He was already handcuffed. From reading documentation, the boy was handcuffed while naked and threw his clothes to put on. How can he put his clothing on if y'all already got him handcuffed behind his back? But y'all narrative of it, he jumped on his grandmother. he would have never been able to live in the household with my grandmother if he was aggressive like this.
Exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
So, I mean, come on now. You gotta make sense out of it. You know, it was just straight lies that were told because they know it was totally wrong what they have done. And of course, they're trying to cover up. They gotta cover themselves because they know, hey, we did this wrong, we did that wrong, and then he dies.
Mhm.
So y'all trying to cover, which y'all should have left him alone. Do
That's
we
right.
believe he will still be alive today? Of course he will still be alive today.
That's right, that's right. And so when we talk about the parties involved, and these names are public knowledge, it's not anything we're saying that's incriminating anyone.
No.
One of the persons that are involved is actually our active sheriff. Mark Woods is his name. And if you go to YouTube and you go to that and look up Justice for Robert Rich, you will see on there your sheriff, and you will see the actions he's taken. He wasn't sheriff then; he was a deputy.
He was a
then.
deputy.
But you'll see the actions he took, during that incident, and he's tried to spill it a different way. But cameras don't lie, videos don't lie. I mean, you can do something to them. I mean, to make them manipulate them. But this was from the inside of the jail cell. When they would bring him around the corner, you'll see what happens when they bring him around the corner. And it wasn't even necessary because at that time he was hogtied. So there was no need for anybody to put their hands on him or hurt him because he wasn't a threat anymore. He was hogtied.
And
So-
lifeless.
And lifeless.
To be honest with you.
So there was nothing they could do. So there's no need for him to touch him at all.
So
Period.
at that point, that was excessive force.
That was excessive force, yeah.
Because what harm could someone that's handcuffed and shackled do to you?
Can't do nothing.
Mhm.
And then he was face down the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Y'all never gave him the position to sit up.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so I mean, it was just they know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, from the timing of them getting him off the elevator, packing him in the hallway, from the different officers standing in, looking in, shaking their head, scratching their head. We all want to know what took place inside this cell because what caused y'all to shake y'all head and scratch y'all head? Y'all sitting here witnessing it firsthand.
Exactly.
And-
Watching this boy die.
And since this incident had happened, everybody got promotions.
Mhm.
Everybody.
And that's the kicker.
The number one, Marcus Kirk, whose decision it was to take this boy in, he got promoted. He works for the feds now, the local feds in Alexandria. Mark Woods, he's the current sheriff,
sheriff.
which he was a deputy then.
And
You
can see
you
him in
have
the video
several other ones.
kicking
You have
him.
one Deidre Allen. She's running around because she's scared since this video done got out. But you can run. But one thing you cannot do is you cannot hide.
We see you.
Yes.
Exactly.
We see you just as well as everybody else who eyes laid on this video footage. You saw them. You know, they know what you look like. They know exactly who you are.
And that is the movement that we are doing. We're putting these names out there. We're bringing the public's attention to this. So that when you see these individuals, public, go ahead and ask them. Sheriff Mark Wood, did you really have to kick that man in his shoulder and in his face when he was hogtied, face down, and lifeless?
That was
at
his
DC3?
head, not his shoulder.
Yeah.
His
That was
shoulder?
his head.
Well, I actually saw it a few times. If you look at the video, you see him kick him in the shoulder. You also see him kick him in the face. Okay.
And
So-
exactly, that's the bruise he had
Mhm.
to the left side of his forehead when we went in to
Yeah.
see him at 3:30 a.m. But his deceased time was 12:13 a.m. But that's the time frame and they let us go back to
So the
View
bruise
his
on,
body.
on Robert's head, that was
That's-
Sheriff Mark Wood's
kick. Yeah, from those steel toe boots he had.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
While he was hogtied and lifeless.
Wow. So what else did you find discovered on the autopsy? What else did you guys?
They were saying that he was only tased 3 times. Well, actual reality, after looking over the autopsy report, Robert was tased more than 20 times.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And he was actually tased twice above his kidney before he stopped breathing. And what they didn't bring to the forefront, we were in a car accident back in 2001. Robbie had a metal plate in his head. He had a scar between the right eyebrow. He had a metal plate in his head. So of course, with that voltage going in your body, you on psychotropic medications, they got your heart going at a certain rhythm on top of that voltage going in your body.
Wow.
Now from looking at the reports, there were 2 different type of tasers that were administered on Robert. They used the drive-stun one, the one where they have to actually touch your body with, which his chest was marked up from that one. And then the other type was where it administers a chip, and each time they hit the trigger, you gonna feel it. So from when the state police investigator, Melissa Welch, when every time we call and ask her has she got the results in, it was always a no, a no, a no. Well, the only tasers that were actually even tested were the ones inside the parish. Now, those belonged to those deputies. So why were these never tested within APD? Because the Alexandria Police Department officers, they had their tasers on them as well. And another thing I want to bring to the attention, that Officer James Burnett, he's the short, fat one with the glasses on the video. He's going in and out the cell. He wasn't even certified, neither trained to administer that taser on Robert.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
But yet he administered the taser.
He administered the
several
taser.
times.
Yeah. Yes. And he
So-
wasn't trained, so you can't tell me that it wasn't a lot of mishaps. I'm not gonna say the word I actually want to say,
Yeah, I know.
but it was a lot of mishaps in that. I mean, he was given another officer taser, and you wasn't even certified, neither trained to administer it, but you did it. And nobody was demoted, nobody was fired, nobody was reprimanded for any of these actions.
No criminal charges.
Yeah.
And in fact, all of those people were promoted.
Yeah. You even have some deputies that were involved as far as they were standing outside of the cell, being handed items out of the cell. Miss Annie Caffrey, you don't have a statement the first on her. So it's a lot of unanswered questions, and they need to come forward and they need to speak up about it. But it doesn't matter until it's one of their own.
That's right.
That's what it seems like. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Facts is facts.
Exactly. So,
Now,
correct.
Sheriff Mark Woods keeps reiterating that the courts have exonerated him of any wrongdoing. Okay? Well, now, the public out there, imagine your son, okay, is killed in your house while he is in your house, okay, and in his underwear, okay? And then the police say, oh, but we've been cured of any wrongdoing. That doesn't mean that wrongdoing had not actually occurred.
Right. Exactly.
Okay? It only just means that whatever evidence that was presented to the judge at the time, okay, did not meet the burden. Whatever evidence that was, it might not have been the right evidence. It might not have been enough evidence. Okay? But, you know, just like I tell my clients all the time, you know, this court thing of what we're doing, it's not about what happened, it's about what you can prove. What you can prove is the truth and is facts, okay? What you cannot prove never happened,
Exactly.
right? And so, you know, I say that to say, just because he's going to say, oh, I've been cured of any wrongdoing, doesn't mean that something wrong didn't actually happen. It doesn't mean that this young man didn't die for no reason. It doesn't mean that he wasn't murdered by the hand of law enforcement. It just means that some judge in Rapides Parish said, oh, well, there's not enough fact to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this situation occurred the way you say it occurred. Now, I do have my opinions, and I don't want to point, you know, any fingers at any other attorneys or anything like that, you know, but I feel like I would have handled that situation a little differently. But now this is where we are. This is where we are. So now we're in a position where we have to bring this to light in order to uncover this in hopes that the Department of Justice, in hopes that the federal prosecutors, okay, will take criminal action upon all those officers, including Sheriff Mark Wood, that were a part of this and all of the instances of malfeasance that we're uncovering.
Exactly.
Not to be frankly witty, the deal with that particular judge in Rapides Parish, he has never ruled against law enforcement having these dealings with, these inmates, people in custody of law enforcement. He has always ruled in law enforcement's favor. So that is a conflict of interest to me, because it seems like this judge always get these type of cases and he exonerates these officers. Well, they actually wasn't exonerated. It just boiled down to the point of them getting down to Taser International, and that's like trying to sue Smith and Wesson. You have to go against the person that administered that Taser.
Right.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Oh, my name is Mr. Thomas. How you all doing?
Hi, Miss Thomas. How you doing?
Doing good. I'm glad you all are having this conversation. Just keep talking. Because anybody like Martin Woods and all those other names, I don't see how the world can stand by and just act like it's business as usual. They will come at the black community to make us not even want to think about this. But everybody should be listening, and we should be to the streets right now.
Exactly.
This is horrible. You got the sheriff, Mark Wood, and everybody is acting like everything is hunky-dory, everything is okay. This is not okay.
Exactly.
So I pray you all keep talking, and I know by the grace of God, this thing will get corrected.
Thank you so
And I
much
just
for that.
want to say, bless you all. And it's good to hear you all talk.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you later.
I love you too. Bye-bye. All right, so when we look at it, when you said that Mark Woods made the comment of them being exonerated, by who information? Because when we talk about the reports, a lot of those reports have some stuff in there that don't add up, and anybody with common sense would know the difference. And if you've ever read a police report, if you've ever did anything like that, you'll see the difference and how they're telling the story, opposed to what really happened. And because I've read numerous police reports, so I can tell by the story how it's told that how did that happen? How point A got all the way down here to point G? What happened to all the other letters in the middle? All that's gone. But because we're taught and they're taught to believe whatever law enforcement says, then we're going to go by that. So the story we're telling is the correct story because that's how you're supposed to look at it. When I've seen the mistakes being made on several cases that I've worked on with other people that show that this is not adding up at all. For instance, the Marcus Merritt story out of Leonville. I've read that report, that police report. The Jason Smith story out of Jonesboro, out of Eros, Louisiana. I went over that story. The James Harris story right there in Boise. I read that report. It's amazing. If you're not a good reader, you won't catch it. But if you're a good reader and you comprehend things, you can catch the mistakes that were made when they're interrogating the person and they're threatening with a gun to their heads. All of those type things are happening even during the interrogation process. People don't know that, but it's being done. But we're supposed to believe everything that comes out of their mouth. Don't do it, you guys. Learn for yourself. Understand it for yourself. It's criminal the way things are done. We were talking earlier also about the ideal that how inmates are treated. There was a story a long time ago, I was working on a case where they lost the inmate in the system, literally lost him in the system by his number.
Wow.
So his family doesn't know where he's at. He's in the system, and like you said, that money is a big thing. It is a huge thing.
That was happening a lot in Katrina.
Hello,
Well, hello, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, and you?
This is Mr. Carey.
Yes, how are you today?
I'm doing good, and I'm watching your show about this terrible thing that happened to this black guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not happy about the sheriff, and I think action should be taken against him and the police department.
Exactly. And that's what the whole purpose of this case is, to get it back out there, get it open, and get somebody put in jail, basically.
That's right. And if I gotta run for sheriff next year to get Mark out there, I will do that.
Definitely.
So I tell you, Reverend, you got my money.
Is that how you say it's not the vote, it's the money?
No, it's not the vote, it's the money. However much you need.
Y'all keep doing what y'all doing, and I'm support y'all 100%.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So when you look at how the system said they purposely get people tied up in the system and can't get. You have innocent people in prison. Look at the Vincent Simmons story. Look at the Mr. Woodfox story. All these different stories that come to mind when it comes to innocent people being locked up and taking years, 40 and 50 years to exonerate them. You guys don't understand, that's set up on purpose. And they had the evidence to show that these people were innocent and still put them through the system as long as they did. They lose all their appeals, as long as that dollar keeps coming in, we're gonna keep them in here, no matter what. We don't care what their lawyer says, we don't care if it's new evidence being found, that's not really important to us. Our purpose is to keep them in there. And it's just so sad, and the system is not fit for us, and we have to understand that. And we learn the system, then we know to either stay out of it or learn to help somebody who's in it.
That's right. And it's really frightening, when you think about it. Because you have so many Americans that don't know their rights.
Exactly.
They don't know that you do have a right to leave when you're stopped by the police.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
If there is no reasonable suspicion of articulable facts, okay, that a police can say that, well, based on my observation, okay, I can see or I can hear or I've been told that either a crime is being committed, has been committed, or is about to be committed, so I'm going to stop you right now.
Exactly.
Okay? If there is no reasonable suspicion, we call that reasonable suspicion in the law. Okay?
Exactly.
So if that is not present, okay, then you're under a different standard called free to leave. It's literally called free to leave. Okay? Where if a cop stops you and he has no reasonable justification to detain you or to arrest you, then you are free to leave. And you can walk away. Okay? Now, a lot of times, officers don't honor that.
Exactly.
Okay? And you walking away might just get you killed.
Yeah.
But that killing would be a violation of your constitutional rights.
Wow. We'll take one more call. Hello?
I'm going to turn the question. This call, I want to say good afternoon to all you guys in Texas.
Good afternoon.
Lawrence Walker. And I'm sitting here watching this job dropping program, and I'm truly appalled by the Rapid Prairie Sheriff's Office handling of this issue, as well as a multitude of other issues that have come to prominent here over the last few years. The whole system is broken. It's broken from your mayor, it's broken from the city council, it's broken from the fact that District 26 is a minority district. It's the smallest
Excuse me, sir, sir. Can you call us right back? We're gonna have to take a break. We'll be back, okay? Can you call back?
I can hang on, I can hang on.
Okay, all right, then, thank you. Okay.
I mean,
Y'all gonna break?
yeah,
Not
we got a
yet.
break right now.
Not
Come-
yet.
Come back on at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
We'll be back at 2, okay?
Okay, it's important. Hey, look, y'all was burn on camera.
Okay, we're still on air.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you guys, we will return at 2, so thank you guys. Be back.
Now, you're still live on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's all right, we're still live on Facebook. You're gonna have to call back. That's cool, we're still live on Facebook.
Yeah, you got it. You got 4 minutes in the break, huh?
4 minutes?
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
4
Woo.
minutes.
I mean, we can't just, woo.
So
What y'all think? What y'all think?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
The attorney is, she's precise and concise.
okay,
Oh, thank you. I'll try to stay that way.
okay.
I'm on it.
Hold on, it's all about the attorney? Is that what
Yeah.
it's about? Okay,
If you
okay.
need- If you need to get, I went to look for some bottled water.
Water, yeah,
But
cause,
we have some Kenwood water up in a container
Okay.
upstairs.
Okay, with some
Yes, you
cups.
will go up and get on the elevator, yes.
Oh, we got to actually go and get it?
Oh, I go there.
Yeah,
Come on,
y'all not gonna make it back.
right.
But
I got these
I got some
heels
red
on.
cups.
I got these heels on. I
I
got
got
to
some
go
red
upstairs.
cups.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Hi, Universal Collective Network.
Hello.
Look, it's so far back, let me see if I
Y'all
can.
still online on my feed too.
On your feet too? Okay. Let's see if we can move it up. Oh,
I see.
You could,
Oh, look at that.
it won't be, let me see.
I don't want it to be in our way.
Okay, it won't be in your way.
Is it in there, in the way of the camera?
No, not for this shot right here. Look, it's not.
A lot of people don't know that he was in Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you said. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
Let me lower my
When I tell
volume.
y'all,
Yeah,
I
lower
have
your
read
volume.
everything from page to page. I feel like I done been in school. Yeah, I done been in school all
I want to burp. I know they probably think I'm crazy.
You can burp, don't fart.
Just don't pass that.
I knew it was the water.
Quiet on the set. You know I like to say that.
Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hi, we're back with Community Issues with a story about justice for Robert Ricks with his sister Destiny Jones and his attorney Venice Morgan. And so she wants to kind of explain to you guys how the rights of us, our rights, how that works. And we were talking about it off stage. Off stage. We were talking about it off the camera, but I want her to kind of go into depth in what she's talking about our rights, people's rights, citizens' rights, residents' rights. So you want to go ahead and go into that?
Absolutely, and when we say rights, I mean particularly when it comes to the police, okay, and what you have a right to do and say, and when those rights stop, okay? So first of all, and I'm saying this because even with Justice for Robert Ricks, it all started with police confrontation, okay? And if my grandmother knew her rights, well, really, I would argue that she did because she asked the police to leave, and they refused to leave, okay? But it's very important that each of you know what you have a right to do and say when the police are confronting you, okay? So there's a few instances when an officer will stop you, okay? The most common instance is when you're in your vehicle, okay? When you're in your vehicle, it's usually for a traffic stop, okay? If it's a traffic stop, normally what they do is they come up to the vehicle or they'll ask you to come out of the vehicle, and then they're supposed to immediately inform you why they stopped you, or at least ask you, do you know why I've stopped you, okay? If you don't know, then they're supposed to tell you, okay? Oh, well, because you were speeding. Oh, well, because you were swerving. Oh, because you didn't use a signal, or whatever the case may be. You have a tail light blown out, whatever it is, okay? And from there, they go to either issue you a ticket or a warning. Hopefully you get a warning, okay? But if it's a ticket, then, hey, it is what it is, okay? But it becomes intrusive when they start going even further in doing a search without actually having any reasonable suspicion or probable cause, okay? Now again, reasonable suspicion is when the officer hears something, sees something, or notices something that tips him off that a crime may or may not be conducted, okay? May not be happening or may be happening, okay? Probable cause is kind of a heightened reasonable suspicion, where the officer now has specific facts, okay, or specific evidence to show that it's more probable than not that a crime is being committed, okay? That's when a search starts being conducted. A search of your person, a search of your vehicle, a search of your home, okay? Now, if you're in your vehicle, okay, and let's just say the officer asks you, do you have any drugs or any kind of alcohol or anything in your vehicle, okay? Typically, an officer cannot search your vehicle if there is no other corroborating evidence, nothing indicating that you have drugs or alcohol or any kind of illegal contraband in your vehicle for them to go and start searching in your vehicle, okay? Like, case in point, the officer stops you and he says he smells marijuana. Okay, well, arguably, marijuana is, some kind of articulable fact, some kind of, small evidence that would tip him off to say that there might be illegal drugs in your vehicle, okay? And even when, let's just say he smells marijuana in your vehicle, okay? The limit of the officer's search is just the wingspan, okay? So that means anything that you can touch around your vehicle, okay, is up for grabs. It's up for him to search. That means the glove compartment, the center console, you know, anything like that. Now, if the officer starts going and searching the trunk of your car, that is outside of the scope. Okay? So an officer can't stop you and say, oh, I smell marijuana, open up your trunk. No, that's an unlawful search. That is against the 14th Amendment, unreasonable searches and seizures, okay? Same thing with your house, okay? If an officer comes to your house and knocks on the door, the officer cannot just enter into your home, and you should not let him enter into your home, not without a warrant, okay? It is very important that an officer has a warrant, because that warrant is what protects you from unlawful searches and seizures.
Exactly.
Okay, and even when they enter into your home, okay, you still have what's called a reasonable expectation of privacy. They can't just start going in and opening up your cabinets and.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Question or comment?
Yes, great show. The attorney's given a lot of useful information that we needed today. I want to comment on this. I just saw that news article, and we heard in the first part of the show, we talked about what must be done, and we should all be looking for solutions, not for another Robert Wicks to happen. But I know in Louisiana we have to deal with a lot of police corruption. And I saw this news article where the head of the Osage City Police Department union got arrested. The FBI agents went in there. I don't know if anybody knows about that information. That just goes to show how powerful these police unions are in the state of Louisiana, where we don't have any type of oversight. They actually are leading the way police officers react and act with local citizens. And I know the attorney might have some comments on that. Also here in Lafayette, we had an issue where we hired a progressive police chief Thomas Douglas, the first African American police chief in Lafayette. Well, the union was behind the mayor and his cohorts getting rid of this police chief because he was implementing a lot of progressive policing policies. So maybe that issue with the Boulder City Police and the issue with Sheriff Walk Wood, or the issue with our sheriff, so you know, Sheriff Lewis Apple in New Iberia, what happened with that sheriff. So maybe the attorney might want to speak to those issues if she has the information. Again, thank you so much. I'm going to hang up and take your answer off here. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Well, okay.
Question or comment?
Yes, good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Programs that y'all have today. You know, the thing of it is, we got to understand what Klan justice is all about.
That's right.
We got to understand that we do have a Miranda right. And a lot of times when I talk about Klan justice, the Klan will stop black folks, you know, just on general principle, just because the color of their skin. And if we don't understand our rights as black folks, well, they misuse us and abuse us. And that don't just go on in Lafayette, it goes on in every state. I've traveled a lot of states and been stopped as a trucker, you know, because I was driving a truck that was nice and being black driving. And I would ask the officer, what gives you the pleasure to stop me this morning, you know, or to stop me now? It's because I am an officer of the law and I do what I want to do, you know, and I call that Klan justice.
That's right.
You know, when we go to court, we're not really going in front of people that look like us. When we get stopped on the highway, we're not really getting stopped by people who look like us. And those are the things that we got to be aware of. No use Miranda rights. When they stop me, I got a Miranda right card behind my wallet.
and I pulled both of them out at the same time. You want my wallet, go take my Miranda right card. And once you get that Miranda right card, oh, we got a smart one here, you know? So they treat it a little different than me just being a typical citizen, you know? So those are the things that we have to learn how to react to injustice that is going down on us. And that's why I call it clan justice. Because every time we go in front of those people, this is who we go in the front of. People that don't look like us. If we have a jury trial, people that's not looking like us.
That's right.
And they tell us we're supposed to have a jury of our peers. You know, and if you don't look like me, you're not in my peer. So, you know, I thank you guys for bringing to the airwaves what you guys are bringing to. Y'all are very intelligent and aware of what's going on with it. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you want to go ahead and answer your question?
Yeah, so as far as the first caller, and you know, he had mentioned some things what was going on federally. I didn't catch the name that he had stated as far as the federal officer that was involved. Well, look, to address that, okay, I pretty much got the gist of what he was saying, and although I'm not really familiar with that particular issue that, you know, he was discussing, what I will say is that what I have noticed around all of these small parishes in Louisiana, okay, the police department is in cahoots with the sheriff's department.
That's right.
The sheriff's department is in cahoots with the district attorney's office. The district attorney's office is in cahoots with the courts. You know, so you know it's kind of it's a deep rooted system where one hand washes the other. Okay, all the time. Okay, and if you are poor, and particularly if you're poor and you're black, okay, then you know we gotta pray for you.
Exactly.
You know, because the system is set up for our failure. Okay, and nothing is going to happen until we all come together collectively and say, you know what, enough is enough. Enough is enough. No, officer, I'm going to tell you what my rights are because I know what my rights are, okay? And if I get beat up in the process, then I'm just going to have to take action, you know, after that point. I know it's scary because it is very scary. What happened to Robert Ricks can happen to any one of us, okay? It can happen, it happened to Angela Rick's son, it can happen to your son, it can happen to my son, it can happen to anyone's son. Right.
Exactly.
You know,
We're
so
trying to protect the future for our kids, for our sons.
none of us are immune from this.
That's right. That's
Okay? Some of us might be immune to COVID, but we ain't immune to police brutality.
That's right.
Okay?
Question or comment?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Okay. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. How you doing? I thank y'all for bringing out this program. I just want to say, my name is Keith Falk, and I'm a part of a concerned community activist. And I just want to say, election time is coming up. Here in Lafayette, there's a city court judge, and just because they have candidates in the judge's seat, the DA's office, most of these positions in the justice system is elected positions besides the police officers. And we have to look at the candidates that we are elected to these positions. It might be, they might have candidates that might not look like us, but be for us. And they might have candidates that might look like us and not be for us. So we have to look at the people that we're putting in these positions and then start examining them and putting people in there that have proven that they will come in and redefine the justice
sometimes we look at the candidates, we need to look at the candidates that's going to reform the justice system.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Thank you for that.
And you know what, I have noticed that the candidates that are more talking, we need more candidates talking about community policing.
Yeah.
Okay? The problem is that these police and sheriff's officers that are going through our neighborhoods and targeting us and our children, okay, don't live in the communities. They don't. They don't go to our churches. Their kids don't go to school with us. Okay? And they don't know our parents. They don't know our family members. We don't know their family members. You know, and if it were that way, if the same police officer, okay, that began cattle prodding Robert, okay, was familiar with the family, if he went to Robert's church, if he knew Robert's grandmother, this would have happened a whole lot differently.
Well, I tell you
because
what,
he would have had a community to answer to.
Marcus Kirk is from Lower Third area, and Marcus Kirk also attended Talga High School, Talga Junior High. Robert and my oldest brother, they both went there, so I'm sure.
Now that is rare.
I'm sure, yeah. It's rare that you called it out, but I mean, he attended Talga High School, Talga Junior High, and this is the same school that both of my brothers attended. So,
and he still did him like this.
He still did, and this is the area that you are from, born and raised up in.
Wow.
But I tell you what, when they have a badge and they have a gun, they get this superpower where you have to follow their demands, their instructions. But we are all equal. So, I mean, I don't know what was his thoughts at the moment when he took on, he decided to illegally arrest this boy and take him in his hands. His life was in their hands and his life was taken in their hands. Exactly. I don't see how they are able to sleep at night.
Wow.
I don't. And Deidre Allen, we have a cousin that we have mutual, we're kin. She's kin to our cousins off their dad's side, and we are kin to these cousins off the mom's side. The grandfathers is brothers. So I mean, it's just a lot of corruptness. Money is the root of all evil. Like the guy was just saying on there, we have to know who we electing in there.
Oh yes.
But money is the root of all evil. And how Mark Woods got elected in there, I tell you what he do. He don't give a care about people of color. We are inferior to him. I guarantee you that. But he goes inside the black church houses during election time. He goes with that brown paper bag.
Okay.
And what's inside that brown paper bag is money. And I'm gonna tell you, the people of our color, they will do anything for $1, for in favor. And it's ridiculous because when it boils down to one of your own, then you're gonna want all the support and help that you need at that point.
Exactly.
Wow.
We even have, I'm not gonna even name the family members that work within the sheriff department. They don't have nothing to say the first thing. You know why? It's no telling how many favors they done went to the sheriff to get. But it's fine. It's no hard feelings about it because justice will be served with or without you.
That's right.
As long as the man above, justice will be served.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. But for 11 years, too, this had all been covered up.
Yes.
And so, you're saying that this officer who is from the community, okay, who grew up in and around Applewhite Street in Alexandria,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, and now hopefully after this interview, after this this TV interview, and on
I hope
Facebook
it reaches out
Live
to
and
him,
everything like
because
that, I
did
hope
my
so.
whole study
I hope
on
his church
everything.
members pull him to the side and
That's
say,
even
"Bruh,
if he goes to church.
Yeah.
if he goes to church, or even if he goes to Walmart, something. I hope somebody in the community pulls this man to the side and say, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're supposed to be for this community. and you are specifically hurting this community.
Exactly.
What are you doing? Who promised you something? Are you really that afraid of white supremacy?
Mhm.
Okay?
Wow.
Because that's really what this is.
Exactly. Question or comment?
Yes, I want to make a comment.
Yes.
Yes, I just want to commend you beautiful black women who have stood the test of time. As I understand it, this case is 11 years old. You know, that so many people would have just got away from that and just thrown in their hand. But you know, continuously seeking the justice that Mr. Ricks deserves. And I want to just commemorate you for your steadfastness and your warriorship, because you exemplify the best of we as black people should be. And I just want to express my thanks to you and my gratitude.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome, sir. Thank you. All right, and I want to go back to one of the callers who said how we don't have people of our peers judging or making a decision on what's going to affect our lives. If you guys are familiar with Mayor Thompson out of Jonesboro, his case, excuse me, me and a friend of mine who passed away, we were sitting in the courtroom just about every day that his case was going on, the trial was going on. And there was not one African American sitting in that case at all, in the jury, not one African American. And these small towns, you were talking earlier about these small towns. These small towns can be good, they have good things about them, but they also have bad things about them. When you're related to everybody, you might not be related to the white folks in that town, but you're related to all the black folks. And the black folks most likely don't have their own businesses, so they can't employ other black folks. So what happens is you're at the mercy of all the white-owned businesses, the white-owned male-dominant businesses in these small towns. So you know, a lot of times they're in the pockets of any law enforcement. They're all in it together, like you said, cahoots together. So it's almost like, in a sense, you're powerless unless you're knowledgeable of what's going on. Yeah, we sell out all the time. I can't talk about it because my boss is this person and my boss is that person, so I can't get involved. I don't want to be part of that. Well, I'm so glad, even though I'm originally from New York, but my mom is from in Louisiana, and I have a lot of family members there. And I think I might be the big mouth, because I don't have a need to be afraid and have the idea that I work with a certain person that I can't speak out. I'm not going to be that way. And I wouldn't let it stop me even if I did work for him. If something is being done wrong to our people, and we have to understand, I know this is not directly about our people, but that's who I represent. I represent our people because those are the people that I relate to. And the idea that we're in a situation where we can't get justice on a lot of issues that happen with us, not only just in judicial system, but justice in just living, economically, financially, all those areas of our lives that we cannot get justice in. It hurts. It hurts. And we as the people need to make sure that we're learning on a constant basis on how to know what to do when these situations happen. How do we handle, who do we go to? Like Attorney Morgan said earlier, lots of people attorneys don't like to take these cases. I told her, I shared a story with her when we were on the radio show, where I said that we talked to someone with a case that we were working with, that we couldn't get nobody. The lawyer said, people don't do civil rights cases because there's no money in it. Black, African American attorneys don't do civil rights cases because there's no money in it. So when you can't find the people that will fight your battles for you, it's hard. But we're blessed to have Attorney Morgan being able to step up and put on the line her life, her personal life, everything that she's doing to make sure justice can be served in this case. I want to say that, I want to commend you on the item that you're stepping up and doing this, because it is very hard to find attorneys that will take on these type of cases. It's sad that we're like that, but we're so afraid, and we got to stop. And I'm gonna say this is me. We go to church every Sunday. We at Wednesday night Bible study.
Mhm.
We're in Sunday school.
Mhm.
But we are the most feared.
Mhm.
What are you afraid of when it comes to justice?
Right.
If you say you believe in a God that allows you not to be fearful, why can't you allow that fear to spread out allow you to have the spirit of boldness that he gave you to do the work? We say Jesus was a rebel. I always say that about you. I said Jesus was a rebel. He went into the tabernacle and taught stuff, okay? And he was angry. And he went against the rules of everybody because of who he was. So if you say that you're like him, I'm Christ-like. No, you're not.
Mhm.
You know you're not. Because Christ wouldn't let all this injustice keep happening.
Right. Well, and I can say this to the public as words of comfort, okay? I know that a lot of us, we don't have any money, okay? And we don't have a whole lot, and I know you don't have a whole lot of resources, okay? And you're scared that if you stand up for yourself or you stand up for your community, someone might attack your job, okay? Or somebody might attack your child's daycare. So you don't have a job, if you don't have a daycare, if you're renting your house or you're renting your apartment, they might attack your landlord, and then in turn your landlord is attacking you. And so, what they do is they'll try, when you're close or when they see you as a threat, okay, in this game of justice that we're playing, they start attacking your necessities.
That's right.
The things that you need because, you have to have a job because you gotta work and you're not working for yourself, right? Your kids have to have somewhere to go. They gotta go to school, they gotta go to daycare, you gotta have some place to live. If you're on government assistance, you need, food stamps and things like that. And they threaten these things,
That's right.
okay? And but the problem with that is the lack of economics.
That's right.
In our community.
That's
They
right.
can't attack our economics. They can't attack our finances if we control them.
If we control it.
And
That's
so
right.
I say that to say that you're afraid, but if you don't want to be afraid, then invest in black economics, invest in black business. So, because then if we have black business, if we have more stake in our black economics, then we have a bigger voting power.
That's right.
Okay, and we can put that money up to put up, that person who's talking the language that we're talking and, who can attend to our needs.
Exactly.
Oh, they're going? I'm sorry.
There you go.
Running my mouth.
That's right. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I'm calling in live about the Robert Rick case.
Yes.
Everything that woman just said, I'm going through it right now. This is Lois D. Lane.
Hey Lois, how you doing, sir?
Hello.
I'm doing fine, I'm making it, but everything that attorney just said, that's what's going on with me at this current time right now.
Wow.
I'm being attacked.
Wow.
Because I stand strong in justice for, see me, I ain't scared, but when it's just you and everybody else scared, then justice don't come like that.
That's
That's
right.
right, that's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
When it's just you and everybody else, they wait until the smoke clears, then they come.
Exactly.
Right. A lot of people think they wait until the smoke clears, like this situation, like a lot of people watching, they know about what's going on, but they wait until the smoke clears, then they come try to take the credit.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your situation?
My situation is just like, Robert Rick's situation, I was in prison, I just did 10 years. I've been to everything they got in Louisiana as far as prisons. I've been beat by guards. I've been kicked in the head by guards too.
Wow.
It's just,
I was in a private on prison when it happened, and I was able to fight back without it getting to the Department of Corrections. I was able to live. So by me coming home and being outspoken and being on social media, I was just asked recently by my landlord. I was advised by my landlord to delete my social media.
Wow.
So that's why I say everything that she just said. He called me out the blue. He was like, I would advise that you know, this and that because it ain't. I'm like, no, my social media is hope and life for somebody else. I got to tell my story. They gave me I was sentenced to $25 life in the Department of Corrections, innocent.
Wow.
For having on all black clothing. I ain't have no attorney. I represented myself. I fired 5 attorneys and cussed out 2 judges.
Wow.
Right here in Rockies Parish, I cussed out Thomas B. Yeager and Patricia Cook.
I know.
And I represented myself. I ended up going to the penitentiary at 23. I was the first person in Alexandria to go to trial at 23 and stand up, innocent. And I ended up doing 10 years. I got my GED and I was released on parole. And ever since then, it's been a war. So I can relate to the robbers. I could be Robert Ricks.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I could be Robert Ricks, but I feel like I am Robert Ricks. I just live. But I was beaten by them too. I was in camps where they beat you and hide you in the cell, and they do all that. They hide you and cut the phone off and have the way you can't call. And I've been there. So I had to call in and say something because everything that woman just said, it started from my job. So the way it works in Rockies Parish is we've never had a young, I don't want to sound racist, but we've never had a young black African American male become a billionaire or a multi-millionaire from here. So that's the fear that you're speaking on when you say it's a fear. The fear is if that happens, then it changes Rockies Parish forever, and then a lot of things change.
That's right. You're right.
And then a lot of real estate get bought up, and then a lot of positions change, and then a lot of stuff get exposed, and there's a lot of stuff that's not being exposed. So we have the information, but the problem is getting it out to the world. A lot of the world don't know about what's going on right here in Alexandria, Louisiana.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
But it would be different if somebody like Oprah, now if Oprah Winfrey was sitting with y'all right now, the views would be, you know what I'm saying, because everybody be trying to chase the cloud and get the Oprah.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
That's
Right along with
You see what I'm
Oprah.
saying? But that's just how it is in Louisiana. If Oprah was sitting right there with y'all, everybody be dropping their comments and everybody be where y'all at, how we get over there and this and that. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, exactly.
But because it's Robert Ricks, everybody gonna try to find the excuse what he like they did to me. They gonna say, well, he shouldn't have did this, or they got a million excuses in the hood. Oh, he got the hood behind.
Exactly. Yes.
The hood gonna always find an excuse to say you did it to yourself. Or this and that.
Oh, you should have put your pants on with your hands cupped behind your back. He should have found a way to do it.
Right.
Exactly.
But it don't always work like that when we dealing with a system that already know how many people a year they gonna sacrifice.
That's right.
Yeah. From not the 8th grade, the 3rd grade with the LEAP test.
Yes, that's right.
From the woods, we call it from the woods to the hood in prison. We was really in the custody of the chain gang and the Ku Klux Klan and the Confederacy because that's who run all this.
That's right.
As far as the prisoners go and all this stuff, so all they did after Reconstruction was got smarter.
That's right.
And they legalized and they found a way to come back and re-enslave and put us back in their custody. So Robert Ricks, I always tell people that Robert Ricks' case was a sacrifice. When you go look at the video, the officer that did that was his initiation up to a higher level in the Klan.
Wow.
But you look at the video and you see the officer come out the cell and you really follow it like I always say it like this. If you can follow these people and know where they go when they leave out of their uniform and you go to see where they really go, you would know the fact that that was an initiation for him. That was like, okay, this thing, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna move up. You know, because every officer I ever seen that beat somebody or killed somebody, or all officers and wardens that I know that kill people in prison, they got higher promotions. They got moved to other jails and they went right now.
That's strictly what
They got
happened. These all got promotions.
They, you know,
Yeah.
Wow.
like they killed the dude up here in David Wade Correctional. They killed the dude up here in David Wade in the cell block. It was three wardens resigned and like the people that was working the cell block. All they did was send them to other facilities. They didn't lose because they part of a union. When you work a job like that, you part of the union. So when you part of the union, you don't lose your position. They just move you around and cover it up.
They just
Exactly.
promote and then give you more money in order to shut you up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And they give you more money to shut you up because you part of the union. And once you part of the union, you part of the union for life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you're a corrections officer, any kind of deputy, you part of the union. You know, you part of you with a credit union. Like if you go to Hunt, when you first pull at Hunt Correctional Center, which is the trade out option, what I call it. But every week they send like 1,800 people to Hunt and disperse them all over Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
When you pull into Hunt, they got credit union, they own bank, they got everything. Like you know what I'm saying? So you part of that for life once you become an officer or something like that. So when you just kill an inmate, they gonna always find a justification. Especially if it's a poor inmate that ain't really got no family doing nothing for him or like no money coming in, nothing like that. Like if you ain't got no high family, like nobody important that. Like if you ain't James LeBlanc nephew or nothing, then that ain't with the word.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for listening in to us. And definitely, we're going to continue telling the stories that need to be told.
I appreciate y'all. Y'all inspire me because everything that woman said brought tears to mind.
You talking about the attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm going through right now.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Wow.
You know, a lot of people, you know, are going through this, and a lot, you know, I feel this man, you know, because a lot of people are afraid to get on TV, you know, and really just tell it like it is.
Exactly.
You know, and really just say how they attack you, you know, but like I said before, we have to be cognizant of our economics in our community, okay? If you notice, okay, now, mind you, I'm originally from California, right? We have all different kinds of communities, right? We've got the black community, the white community, the Hispanic community, the Vietnamese community, the Indian community, you know, like the Eastern Asian, you know, community. You've got all these different communities, okay? Everybody has their own economic base. Except us.
That's right.
Okay? Except us. You go to Chinatown, okay? And they've got their nail shops, they've got restaurants, they've got this, they've got that. Same thing with the Hispanic communities. They've got their restaurants, they've got this, they've got that. You know what I mean? They've got their own markets, you know, where you can buy, you know, ingredients for Mexican food, and, you know, as well as the Asian community, you know, you have that. The Arab community, they've got their own stores and markets and shops and, you know, things like that. But what about the black community? What do we have? And it's not even about what do we have. What do we own ourselves? Okay,
Ownership.
because in the black community, you can have okay, the soul food restaurants. Okay, those might be the only things owned by us. Okay,
That's right.
we go and get our hair and our wigs and our weaves. Okay, but we don't own that.
We don't own it, no.
Okay, we go to the Asians and the Arabs. Okay, to go and get that. Who's selling us our crawfish?
Yeah.
The Asians and the Arabs.
That's right.
Okay, who are we getting our nails done by?
Yep.
Okay, who are we getting our clothes from?
That's right.
Okay, they say that to every white dollar that bounces, bounce meaning it goes from one white hand to another. On average, it bounces about 18 different times before it goes to a hand that belongs to somebody outside of their community.
That's right.
Okay? With Asians, they say it bounces about 13 times. With Hispanics, it bounces about 7 times. You know how many times the black dollar bounces from one black hand to another? On average, 1 time.
That's bad.
If that.
That's sad.
If that. So that goes, and it's not, I'm not saying this is like it's a racial issue. It's nothing against other folks in other communities, okay? What they're doing in their communities are what they're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Okay? We need to get with the program.
Exactly.
Folks.
We definitely.
Yeah.
Another thing, going piggyback off what you're saying is, and I've said this before on our show, we spend in the American community, in American economy, $1.1 trillion annually. $1.1 trillion of black dollars helps fuel the American economy. 1.1 trillion. We are the largest community of consumers. That means we suck things in. We're not putting anything out. We're sucking things in. We're taking everything. We're buying cars. We're buying clothes. We're not bringing nothing to the table. And they know this, so we're at a disadvantage automatically because we're so hell-bent on spending. We're not bringing anything back home. And that's so true about the idea of saying how often the dollar bill hits another black hand. I get that, I'm sorry. Question or comment? Question or comment?
Yes, I had to call back because, you know, you guys are really putting down some issues that's happening with us as a culture of people. You know, then you talked about Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was a rebel. But when you go to church on Sunday morning, you know, everybody runs to church looking for Jesus. And when the church is over with, they tell Jesus, just sit here till I come back next week. They go back doing the same thing they was doing. You know, what brought us to church.
Yes.
You know, we're talking about California, you know, and how things is in California. Well, the thing of it is, us as a culture of people, we don't know how to sacrifice because we're so embedded in European history. What Europeans have taught us to be like them and not like the culture that we should be.
Exactly.
We as black people do not want to sacrifice, you understand, to make things happen for us. And I appreciate you guys.
Thank
you.
you.
You guys have really came and stepped up to the plate. You know, they say women run the world. I believe women are wisdom of the world.
Thank you.
Because women know how to the reproductive area. Men don't.
Exactly.
You know, and all these things that's happening to us is because we are allowing it. We don't know how to sacrifice what's really going on. You know. So I appreciate you guys for all that you're doing. Keep up the good work. You know, and I'm listening.
Thank you again.
There we go.
Go ahead, comment or question?
Yes, a comment. I just wanted to say a fantastic program. We've got to continue to talk truth to power. We've got to let our voice be heard around these no good, corrupt, diabolical systems. And from New Iberia to Lafayette to Alexandria, you name it, we have problems with the police. No matter how you look at it, our voice is going to be the greatest weapon that we have because we need to call these animals out for what they've done and what they continue to do. And I'm trying to find out, Sister Kavita, what else is the recourse that we're going to try to take dealing with this murder?
Well, right now with the attorney here, she's the one who's doing the work, her and her cousin, excuse me, that's doing the work. They're still gathering information and still doing, you know, what they have to do to bring it to light. So yes, so they're working hard.
But eventually, all of this information is gonna wind up in the hands of the Justice Department.
Yes.
Okay, because the investigation has to be opened up.
Mhm.
But in reopening up Robert Rick's case, okay, we have to bring to light all of these newer instances of misconduct and malfeasance, you know, in order for them to look back and like, oh yeah, and then there was Robert Ricks. You know, because Robert Ricks is an 11-year-old case.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it's almost like a cold case, you know, that we kind of need to ruffle back up, you know, stir up the pot, you know, so to speak. You know, so we're doing that with your stories. We're doing that with your stories. Okay? So as you guys are calling in and you're telling us this, and you're calling my office, okay, we are jotting that down and we are using this for the greater good. Okay, so keep the stories coming. You know, if something has happened to you, reach out to us, please.
And yes, I wanted to say that my grandson Raymond Johnny Barnett, he was arrested for back child support payment of $5,000 of a child that was already taken care of. They arrested him right at the height of COVID, and the 2 days before he was supposed to get out, he allegedly hung himself out of Liberia Parish jail facility under Romero. And we know that's a lie. We know doggone well that's a damn lie. And if you know anything about Liberia Parish, you know that under Apple, under Romero, all of them, they have the most corrupt heating system in existence.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, let me.
He wasn't fortunate enough like the Clay Higgins, our representative, who owed almost $200,000, and it just gets wiped away after he able to get his extra money. My grandson was killed for no reason, left behind 4 babies.
Wow. Now, let me get this straight, man. What's your name?
My name is Khadijah.
Miss Khadijah. Sister Khadijah. So is Iberia Parish, is that the same parish where that man was killed? He was handcuffed in the back of the police car? Victor White. Yeah.
Same parish.
That's the same parish, huh? And then those officers got off saying that there was no malfeasance, there was no wrongdoing as according to that judge.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And this is what we're dealing with here, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That's right.
My goodness.
Yes, indeed. And Mr. White is still trying to, he's doing the labor type of fight because what they've done, they wind up awarding the alleged baby mother money, and the attorney, Carol Lexington Powell, they wind up taking
Carol Paul Lexington.
$100,000. But nobody accounted for his murder.
Exactly. Wow. Exactly. Sister Khadijah, thank you so much for calling in and sharing that information with us. Thank you so much for this opportunity also.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye. Okay, Attorney Morgan, we want to definitely get your information that we can share with the listening audience.
Sure.
And so that if they have cases they want to talk about with you, they're able to do that.
Absolutely. My office is called the Law Office of Venice M. Morgan. You can find me on Facebook. The Law Office of Venice M. Morgan is my like page. Venice is spelled V as in Victor, or as in victory, Venese, okay? Venice M. Morgan. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, and I believe I even have a TikTok that I don't even use. But my office phone number is 225-310-1110. Again, that's 225-310-1110. My website, VeniceMMorganlaw.com. Okay, I need to work on changing it. It's a long website address.
That's all right, that's all
Okay,
right.
but if you know anything, if you have anything that we can possibly bring to the forefront, along with all the rest of these, cases of malfeasance that we're going to bring to the Justice Department, give us a call, give us a ring, shoot me a message on Facebook, shoot me a message on Instagram.
Justice for Robert Ricks page.
There's also the
Yes,
Justice
yes.
for Robert Ricks page as well on Facebook, okay, and on YouTube. Go and check us out. Destiny Jones, she's also available, okay. Find us. We want to hear from you.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming in here and doing this. This was a great joy, something that needed to be done. I want to thank all our listening audience, Universal Collective Network. I want to definitely thank AOC Community Center for giving us this opportunity.
Yes.
I want to thank Sister Khadijah, since Sister Khadijah came to me with this and we wanted
Brother
to work this
Shaheed.
out. Brother Shaheed, and also Brother Jay, who working in the background, making this happen, making this possible each and every time we come this way. Thank you guys. Thank you for the city of Lafayette. Thank you for New Iberia. Thank you for all these opportunities we get. And I say it all the time, Alexandria, if you're listening, y'all need this whole setup so that people can hear these stories right at home, because we don't have this at home, okay? So I've said this before and I'll say it again. We need an AOC in Alexandria. You have a channel, Channel 4, it needs to be used for just what we're doing here. All right? So thank you guys for hanging out with us. Have a great evening. Thank you again for each and every one of you guys. And you guys, if you have anything that you want to talk about, any type of case similar to the Robert Ricks case, please feel free to get in contact with Attorney Morgan and let her do her thing that she knows how to do, you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right.
They want more corruption.